What's up, NBA fan? What's up, all sports fans? This your boy JB, host of the Behind the Bench podcast network and channel. Giving a shout out to the rest of the crew: Shy, Kelvin, Jermaine, KB Film Room, and Big Dog Talk Sports. That's right, that's right. Everyone's tuning in. Thank you for supporting Behind the Bench. Subscribe to the channel. Help make this show the best that it can be. Hey, we may as well get right down to the nitty gritty, people. It's over. It's all over. It's been all over since the bubble. Look, I want everybody to think about this. Let's say in the NFL, right? Let's say if you saw an up and coming team, right? And then, because normally, when you hire a new head coach in the NFL these days, you normally sign into like a 5-year contract, 5-year deal. And then the thinking is when you start that rebuild, kind of like how the Dallas Cowboys did with Jimmy Johnson back in the day when they hired him when Jerry Jones bought the team, took over the team, and he replaced long-standing legendary coach of the past 28 years, Tom Landry, a legendary figure down there in Dallas. Replaced him with Jimmy Johnson, signed to like a 5-year deal, and the goal was to produce a winner within that 5-year period. And you started to see the ascension in year 3. Now imagine if they would have flipped the script and got rid of all their young, up-and-coming stars on offense and defense. The Dallas Cowboys don't win 3 Super Bowls in the 90s. They may not even make the playoffs. Let me put it this way. They may have one successful run versus what they actually achieve when they start all over again from the bottom. Remember, in Jimmy Johnson's first year with the Cowboys, they went 1-15, people. Then they went 7-9. Then year 3, they made the playoffs with an 11-5 record, and then won the Super Bowl in his 4th year and repeated the Super Bowl champions in his 5th season before he mutually agreed to step down as the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Basically, he was pressured out by the owner. That's essentially, in essence, what has happened to the Los Angeles Lakers. And I hate to keep trying to, I'm not trying to beat on a dead horse or be in constant repetitive motion ad nauseum. This gig has been over since the bubble. Look, you mean to tell me on a primetime game, now you're supposed to be vying for the championship, right? And you get blasted by the score of 120-91 versus by the defending world champion, Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, it's one thing to lose, right? The 2009 championship Lakers squad, we lost 2 games on the road versus Portland. Now, we won the home games versus Portland, but we split the regular season matchup 2 games apiece, 2-2. So it's not about losing a game. You saw the difference between a real built team versus a team that has been pillaring off its future to convince themselves that they're in the mix, and they're really not. That's the stone cold reality, people. And this is why I say, if you look at the NBA, you look at the Detroit Pistons, their team is 10-2, people. They didn't sign no big time free agent this offseason. They didn't make no major trades. 10-2. 10-2. The Cleveland Cavaliers. Their starting backcourt has been out. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. But, hey, they found a way to win a game. They 8-4. Orlando Magic, once they get their chemistry down with Devin Bane, who they just acquired via trade this offseason, Orlando going to take off. They beat the Knicks last night. They match up very well with the Knicks over the past 3-4 seasons. For some reason, they match up. I think it's an issue with the front court. I think their front court matches up real good with the Knicks front court. You look at the San Antonio Spurs. Now, they lost last night to Golden State, but they're getting that experience while getting a head start with the success they've had so far this season with an 8-3 record. Then you look at Denver. They addressed a issue with their bench scoring, and now they looking like, hey, they could be right back up in there, at least playing Oklahoma City Thunder for the Western Conference Finals. And this is why I'm so upset. I want to mention something that Kyle Kuzma said entering his third season. You know, people forget he was selected to represent Team USA during FIBA basketball that offseason of 2019. He said, going into that third year, I'm surprised that we gave up all this young talent. I believe we had a dynasty. And see, when you look at Oklahoma City Thunder, this is a team. God dang it, man. When you draft young, let me put it this way. When you develop a system, right? And it becomes so fundamental to your approach in building this team, the system, how can I say this? It begins to fulfill its promise. Meaning you gets to the point where you know exactly who you need to draft on a yearly basis. Because the Oklahoma City Thunder, they had draft picks in a stash well into the 2030s. So what I'm saying is, you bring in players who can acclimate to what you've already built up as your foundation. And the more you do that, the more solidified your unit is, the more successful you're going to be. On the other side of the pendulum, when you're constantly relying on outside players, low-tier players, you're in win-now mode. It's going to give you the impression that you're in the mix, but you're not, because reality hits you right in the face when you face a real squad. And this is what I mean by over the past 2-3 seasons, when it comes to money time, postseason, I'm confident that the real built teams has the advantage over, let's say, the teams that are driven by player empowerment impulse that mortgages your future to quote unquote win now. You're already operating behind the 8-ball when you do that. So what I'm saying is, when the Lakers traded for Anthony Davis in the summer 2019, right? People were celebrating like, oh man, we got it on lock. Well, let's go back and revisit that trade. That trade immediately set the franchise back because you waive players or traded players such as Ivica Zubac, Thomas Bryant, Mo Wagner, people like that. Excellent players that you drafted out of college. First of all, you traded Jordan Clarkson and what's your boy's name? Larry Nance to create cap space to sign the Hurricane. Right? You waived Julius Randle, let him walk, so to create cap space to try to bring in a third superstar. So you're literally devaluing your franchise to pursue this shortcut to winning because you brought in the ultimate shortcut taker where it becomes make or break, do or die. So when you acquire Anthony Davis, this team had like 5 players under contract, right? So you're already scrambling to fill the unit. So the goal was to get the third superstar and then have a whole bunch of veterans sign the vet minimum deals, older players sign the vet minimum deals, 1-year contracts. Because that'd be the only way that you can fill a roster out. Because you casted out all your drafted talent outside of Kyle Kuzma. And as soon as Kuzma signed his extension after his rookie contract expired, he gets traded to Washington for Russell Westbrook. And we all know what happened to Russell Westbrook. Don't even need to bring that up. In the meantime, while the Lakers was being led to do all of that, all the smoke and mirrors, OKC punted. They punted because they knew there was 3-4 teams that was in win now mode, right? And OKC was not getting past the first round with Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony. So Sam Presti, when he took over position as team president or president of basketball operations, he understood the landscape and he knew it wasn't going to last. He knew it wasn't going to last. So he punts, but when he did it, he traded away the big names. Westbrook asked to be traded, right? He gets traded to Houston. Paul George, of course, gets traded to the Clippers for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And Carmelo Anthony went elsewhere. I think he went to play with the Portland Trail Blazers, right? And then you bring in Chris Paul, who provided that veteran mentorship for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to really establish himself as a superstar in this league. But he acquired one major asset after the next in the form of draft picks, first round picks. And he did it by the boatload. He was getting like per every trade, he was getting like damn near 4 or 5 picks per acquisition. So by the time he finished up, that man darn near had 30-some draft picks in his stash. On the other side, the Lakers was not only giving up their young talent, they was giving up draft picks too to facilitate the trades. They gave up draft picks to get AD by the boatload. They gave up first round picks and second round picks to get Russell Westbrook. And he did the same for Luka Doncic. But by including the very player who the Lakers mortgaged the future for to acquire 6 years ago. Okay, so you tell me what scenario is better. So you pillar off everything in sight for the Hurricane. Oklahoma City and Sam Presti literally punts. He don't concede defeat. He punts. And then he begins the rebuild process from the ground up, man. First 2 years was a struggle. They was winning 20-some games. And then year 3, they basically become a 500 team. And this was the same year they drafted Chet Holmgren, who missed the entire season due to a foot injury that he suffered. I think he was trying to guard the Hurricane in a game in the Drew League, driving to the basket when he should just let the man drive to the basket and score. Instead, I think he broke his foot or something. He missed the whole year. Now imagine if Holmgren would have played his rookie season, they probably made the playoffs that year. Then in year 4, they clinched the number 1 seed in the West. They tied Denver Nuggets. I believe Oklahoma City and Denver had the same record, but because of a tiebreaker, OKC got the number 1 seed. They lose in a tough second round series versus the eventual Western Conference champion Dallas Mavericks. And then they start making key moves by signing Isaiah Hartenstein from the Knicks at the center spot that allowed Chet Holmgren to move down to his natural forward position. And they traded Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso. Next thing you know, they become champions of the NBA, dog. The 5-year plan works if you know what you're doing and if you have a long-term vision. That's the difference between these two teams. The team on the left, they got to sit there, man, and hope and wish that moves work out. And as soon as they get blasted by a real team, they got to pursue a trade to try to keep up. Meanwhile, the other team gets better and better from within. That's what we saw last night. And this is why I knew after that bubble, it was over, because you start seeing like teams like Utah, Phoenix claimed top seeds in the West. It was over then. I mean, it happened immediately. It wasn't like 2-3 years down the road where the Lakers and the fans thought that they had a window to rack off 3 straight championships. It was all over after the bubble. When I mean it was all over, people. I'm not saying this out of hate. I'm being real. So, to make a long story short, the Oklahoma City Thunder is in position to roll for the next 10 years. To where it's going to become so commonplace. They're going to be like the San Antonio Spurs. Every year, you know, they right there vying for the title in a legitimate way. You know, led by a great player like Tim Duncan, and then Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili as they core players. And that's what I'm saying, man. I know the Oklahoma City Thunder adopted the blueprint originated by the Laker organization and its late great owner, Dr. Jerry Buss, when he understood how important it was going to be to develop young players coming to the league as one and done prospects. So when we started drafting all that young talent, it was for a purpose. It wasn't to be messing around. All we had to do was remain patient. Another year 3, you would have started to see the results. Because really, year 3 was the 2018-2019 season, which is the same year they brought the Hurricane to the franchise. If you don't bring the Hurricane to the franchise, Julius Randle, Brandon Ingrams of the world, they are better players right now than what they actually are. Playing for the Lakers instead of playing for the Knicks and the Timberwolves and the Pelicans and the Toronto Raptors. You'd had your center in the future who's being basically underutilized in Clipper land. He'd be a perennial all-star. So what I'm saying is, people, that year 3, that would have been the beginning of the ascension, where they would have made the playoffs, winning about like 45, 46 games. You go in as an A seed, you get that postseason experience, man, and then you take off from there. I know it in my heart because the 5-year plan, we done seen it, especially in the NFL. A lot of teams that become Super Bowl champions, over the past 20 years or so, that's how they doing it. It's a 5-year progression. So we was in year 3 when they brought the Hurricane to the franchise and turned everything upside down. Now you run into a juggernaut that you ain't got no answer for. And I know a lot of cats go out there going to say, man, if the Hurricane, well, if LeBron was out there, man, it would have made a difference. How you going to continue to say that when he's been on the court, when they've got eliminated 2 years in a row in the first round? Not the second round of conference finals. They getting dead in the first round. And it's only going to get harder. So when they told me championship or bust, it don't matter if this team make the playoffs. It don't even matter. Now, it would matter if you got your real team out there starting from the ground up and you building up to that level step by step, then it would mean something. But when you mortgage it all away and you keep on making these trades to bring in superstars, and then the so-called experts are telling you, oh, man, they in the mix. And then when you face reality and get blasted, and what's crazy is Oklahoma City was missing their second best player, Jalen Williams. And they blowing them out, and they 12-1. They off to a better start this year than they were last year. And if Chet Holmgren, remember, he missed half the season last year due to, you remember, I think he broke his hip or something like that in the game versus Denver. He missed like 6 months of the season. If he'd have been available, that team won 70 games. They won 68 games. This team is, I mean, look, man, I know for a fact that they bought the Lakers blueprint. I know it. I could tell. So the reason I'm doing this video, man, I ain't trying to prove a point, man, but this is what I'm talking about, man, because the Lakers are in the position now to where this is what happens, man, when you really ain't got no draft picks, man. You can't draft nobody who you can truly build up. It's always going to be, you need a trade and, you know, oh, man, we need to get someone like a Zach LaVine or something. Zach LaVine is like 30, 31 years old. He not finna do, now, I mean, he can play. He can score. But, he went from the Bulls. He played with the Bulls for about 4 or 5 years now in Sacramento. And Sacramento, they were 3-8, something like that. There is no answer. That's what I'm trying to say. There is no answer. They keep saying, man, LBJ gonna save the day, but trying to capitulate to him is the reason why it's like that's why I say the bubble got everybody kind of, it's like a false reality. Oh, man, we back, man. No, you're not back. You open the door for the decade to be mortgaged off to produce that result. OKC punted. They didn't tank. They punted. And now look where they at in 2025. And the thing about it, man, they not going to fall off. Because Chet Holmgren was 24. Man, and see the guys they drafted in now, man, they averaging 2 years of college, so they come right in, man. They can make an immediate impact. And they all playing for each other, man. This is what happens, man, when you truly build. You eventually could find yourself exceeding expectations. When you take this shortcut route and go for broke, man, throw your children middle of the table, what you gonna get out of it is 1 year, people. That's what you gonna get out of it, man. Then you scrambling like, oh, man, why they losing? You start blaming people. No, you mortgaged it off because you got rid of your players. Well, he got rid of your players. So, people, I just want to drop this, man. Oklahoma City again beats the Lakers last night, 120-91. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I believe he dropped a 30-piece, and they bench, man, the defense too, man. God, what's his name? Caden Wallace, man. That was a nice draft pick for them, man. Isaiah Joe, they come up in there, man. And the thing about it, they play with force. You know what I'm saying? They play with force, man. When they turn up the dial, man. But that's the beauty of building a team, people. And that's what I'm saying. When you look at the Lakers, like Oklahoma City, the first 2 years of this rebuild, they had one of the the least effective. They had one of the worst defenses in the league. The young core Lakers. This was in year 2. Like this was after they, the 2017 draft when they, Lonzo, Hart, Kuz, Thomas Bryant, and you got Bi, you got Randall out there. Then you had Brook Lopez. You had a young Kentavious Caldwell Pope. You know what I'm saying? They had a 10th ranked defense in year 2. A point differential negative 1.5 in year 2. OKC in year 2 had a point differential like which is what you would expect for a team that's starting over like -5, somewhere around there, -6. So our young core was ahead of the pace. That's why I keep on saying we was ahead of the curve. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I've been so upset because, see, it's all about when you see these talking heads. It's like let me calm down. If this was let's say if this was 1995, 2005. Let's say 2005. After we traded Shaq to Miami. Let's say we drafted a round of talent like this where you go literally damn near 12 deep of your own talent. You're playing with a Kobe Bryant. You know what the talking heads would have said? You know what not the talking heads, but you know who the people back then covering the NBA would have said? You give that young core 3 to 4 years, and they're going to be so dangerous, it's going to be frightening for the rest of the league. That would have been the talk. Because I remember the young players we had then, the Sasha Vujacic, the Jordan Formores, and the Andrew Bynums, once they started to emerge, the Lakers had the best young bench in basketball. They was dubbed the bench mob. Woo! You see what I'm saying? And this young core was deeper than what we had playing with Kobe in the late 2000s, starting over. We were deeper. We was ahead of the curve. Then you bring this dude to the table, man. And see, the thing about it, man, this player empowerment stuff, when a player is given the leverage to force moves, they really not seeing the big picture, man. Because all he thinking about, man, hey, I want superstars up here. I want veterans. I don't want to play with young talent. That's what they told you when they brought him to the team. He ain't got time to waste playing with young players. Well, that was to the detriment of the franchise. You got Anthony Davis. You cranked out one successful season with him on the team, and he gone. You cranked out one good season. Meanwhile, OKC, man, they only got one superstar on the team. They sitting at 12-1. They so set. This may be unprecedented what they do in the modern era, in the era of free agency. It was such a bad timing to bring someone like that to the team. We beat OKC. And can't nobody tell me that we can't because we had deeper array of talent. You bring in a right store player, man, we probably would have won our 3rd title by now. Our 3rd. Shit. Like, let's go. Who next? So I just want to drop the video, people. I got to get ready for my day. But this is the difference between the real way versus the manufactured way. That's the difference between them two teams on that court last night. Reality hit. I'm talking about, and she hit hard. Like, don't even think about it. Then you still got Denver out there. They beating the Lakers twice in the playoffs, back-to-back season. Minnesota's still there. Now, in a regular season, is Minnesota trying to work out they kinks or whatnot, And see, the thing about it, too, is the way the Hurricane thinks is if you constantly change the roster every year, it's harder for the rest of the league to scout what you're doing. You see what I'm saying? To where he's trying to get like a it's almost like, how can I say this, man? It's like a wrestling event, right? Like WWE, and it's a one-on-one match, but your manager outside the ring is helping you win by throwing chairs in there so hit the opponent on top of the head without the referee seeing, and then you count 1, 2, 3, and you're the champion. That's basically how he thinks. You see, instead of going out there and competing, and that's why I have not believed in this situation since it all started. I believe in OKC. I believe in Minnesota last year when they matched up in the playoffs. When everybody like, oh man, Lakers in 5, Lakers in 5. Yeah, it was Lakers in 5, all right. You see how I'm saying? It goes the same thing when Minnesota played Phoenix in the playoffs 2 years ago and swept them. I picked Minnesota. I don't trust win now teams because they're not real teams. This is why the Bulls became a dynasty, because they went through the fire. When they say, man, Jordan couldn't beat, Boston beat the Pistons, Jordan had to go through the fire early in his career, and he still led his team to the playoffs as a rookie. They're not looking at it like, now, in real time, that's how we was looking at it. Like, damn, man, this dude still made the playoff? But revisionist history going to try to penalize him because he won with no defeats in the finals. He went through the fire to such a degree where the Pistons literally created a pit bull in Jordan. Like, and so when he broke through, you knew wasn't nobody gonna beat him. That was it right there. And then Pippen upped his game to become the best number 2 in the league, playing alongside Jordan. Then they had role players who when their number was called, they answered the bell. It's a reason why Kobe and Shaq won 3 straight, because they went through the wars. They didn't start off winning. They suffered major playoff defeats, heartbreaking defeats, man. But it got Kobe battle tested. When he faced Scottie Pippen in the playoffs, man, the first year it started, and Pippen was trying to bully him. Kobe had to take that, man. He came back next year like, no, you ain't finna do it again. And Pippen knew at that point, I ain't got nothing coming, dog. That's why Portland couldn't beat the Lakers in the playoffs, because of Kobe going through what he went through against Pippen. So when they start winning, you feel confident because we went through the wars. That's not what this representation of the Lakers team experienced when they produced that bubble season. They mortgaged the future. That's why I don't believe in it. So ever since then, whoever they face in the playoffs that's complete, I pick the other team every time. Or when Phoenix with KD and Booker and Beal faced Minnesota, I picked Minnesota. When the Clippers faced Dallas a couple years ago, when Dallas went to the finals, I picked Dallas. Because the real team's going to prevail. They got the edge mentally. When you scrambling trying to force trades all the time, you ain't confident. You ain't confident. So it don't matter, man. You could have had a hurricane out there last night. Instead of losing by 121 to 91, 120 to 91, maybe it's 120 to 95 or 96. It wouldn't make no difference. You're still getting blasted. So people, I just want to do this video, man. Like I said, man, the gig been up since the bubble. If you really understand the game and respect the game and respect young talent and respect their young core, I went through that whole phase. That's how I come to my conclusion every year, man. It ain't rocket science. But I just want to drop that nugget. Please leave your comments and thoughts. And until next time, this your boy, JB. This show is called BTB. This is Behind the Bench.